Hey guys, I'm Jonas with PowerEquipmentMan.com. Today we're going to be going over how to install a 3-position switch on your Yamaha Drive 1 or Drive 2 that is a fleet model cart. Now we've had a lot of guys ask us about being able to replace the 2-position ignition switch on their Yamaha Drive 1 or Drive 2 fleet model cart. Now those would have just came with a simple on-off ignition switch, and they want to be able to use a 3-position switch to control their headlight function as well with that ignition switch. So we came out with a kit that allows you to do just that. Now this kit is going to come with a random keyed 3-position switch. Now we did a video a while back talking about these random keyed ignition switches. Now the short version of that is all the fleet model carts from Yamaha come with the exact same key. So anybody with a Yamaha key for a fleet cart can hop in any Yamaha fleet cart and be able to just turn the key on and take off. Now if you switch to a random keyed ignition switch, you're going to be the only person that has a key that will fit your cart. So that kit is going to come with the 3-position random keyed switch along with a new connector and jumper wires to be able to plug into our headlight harness. Now to figure out if your cart is going to be compatible with this kit, you're going to need to take a look at what kind of switch that your headlights are currently using. So a lot of the carts are going to use a switch like this that either has 2 or 3 prongs coming off the back of it and is just an on-off either rocker style switch, or you may have a pull style on-off switch like this, or a larger rocker switch. Any of these, we should be able to easily install this kit on your cart. Now there are some light kits out there that have a multi-function control knob. So it may be a 3-position knob that you can turn the lights from off to just your running lights on, and then to your headlights on. And then there's other kits that will use the turn signal lever to control the lights, where you twist the turn signal lever to turn your headlights on and off. Unfortunately, if your cart has one of those types of switches, there's really not a good way to be able to make this work with that type of system. Now the first thing that we'll need to do to get started installing this switch is remove the cup holder assembly from the dash of your cart. Now if you have a Drive 2, you'll have a cover over top of the screw that you'll need to remove that cover first, and then use a 3mm Allen head wrench to remove that screw. Then you can just pull up and out on your cup holders. Now we can unplug your wiring harness from the back of your ignition switch. There is a tab on the top of the connector that you do have to depress before pulling out that connector. Then just use a 1-inch socket to remove the nut from the front side of your old ignition switch. Then install your new ignition switch in the dash. Now once we've unplugged our factory wiring harness from the back of your ignition switch, you're going to have this 4-pin connector that just has 2 wires going into it. Now we're going to need to remove those 2 wires from the connector to be able to install them in the new connector that comes with your kit. Now to remove the 2 wires from that connector, you just want to use something with a point on it. You could even use a paper clip or some type of a pick. But you're going to go at the front side of the connector, and you'll be able to see 2 little tabs that hold the pins in the connector. So you're going to need to put some pulling pressure on these wires while you're disengaging the tab on each pin. So I just hold it in one hand, 2 fingers holding the connector, and use the other fingers to pull back just a little bit on that harness. And then you can use your pick to reach in there and pop those 2 tabs back so that we can pull the pins out of the connector. Now once you've got them removed from that connector, we're going to just be installing them in the 2 open slots on our new connector. Now you may notice that these slots on the new connector are going to be on the opposite side of the connector from what they were on your old connector, and that's fine. We do have to change positions to make these wires work. Now you're going to just be sliding those pins from your wiring harness into this new connector. Now it doesn't matter which hole in the connector that they go into. They are reversible. We're basically just connecting one wire to the other when the key is turned on. So it doesn't matter which side they go in, but they do have to go in the correct way to lock in with the tabs. So these pins have an opening on one side of them and not on the other. So when that slides into your connector, you're going to hear those tabs lock into place. If you don't hear them click into place, or you can't get the pins all the way in, then you probably have them upside down and you need to flip them over. So just slide those pins into the new connector until you hear them lock into place. Now you're going to have these new 2 wires coming off of that connector, and these are what are actually going to plug into the wiring harness for your light kit. Now the 2 wires that we're going to need is just power in and power out. So if you have a light switch currently that just has 2 prongs on it like these, you're going to just have 2 wires you'll unplug from those connectors and plug right into these 2. Again, it doesn't matter which one plugs into which. We're simply connecting the circuit when the key is turned to that on position. Now, if you have a light switch that has 3 wires going to it like this one, it's typically going to be a lighted switch. So the 3rd wire going to that switch is just a ground wire that makes the light in the switch come on when you turn it to the on position. So if you have a label on the back of your switch like this one does, it'll typically say supply, load, and then earth. And the earth is the ground that we don't need. The only wires that we'll need is going to be the load and the supply. So those are going to be the 2 wires that get plugged into these 2 new wires. So that earth wire you can just discard. You can fold it back over and tape it up or just leave it hanging out. It's just a ground wire. It's not going to hurt anything. Now once you've got your light kit wires plugged into these 2 new wires, we can just go ahead and snap this new connector into your new ignition switch. Then you want to go ahead and test the functions of that new ignition switch. So make sure the cart runs when it's in the on position, and then your headlights come on when it's in the headlight position. Now another issue you could run into is if your light switch uses a different type of connector, if it doesn't just use a push-on spade style connector. Now if that's the case, you may end up having to either cut off the ends of this harness or off of your light harness and just add a different connector to make this kit work. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. If you got some good value out of this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.